Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today is Labor Day weekend, and more specifically, today is Labor Day. That being said, if you fought for our country, thank you so much for your service. I really appreciate you, and I hope that you are doing well today. Second of all, because it is Labor Day, the neighborhood is quite lively. I do have my mic, so hopefully it'll cut out any of that background noise, but you may hear some ATVs, you may hear some gunshots, you may hear a bunch of other noises in the background, but we'll weather through it. But it is a day for having fun, so hopefully they are. But what I want to do today is I want to work in this garden bed. I call this garden bed my driveway facing garden bed because it is where we come in. Now, last year I spoke about removing the barberries because I get a lot of deer that come through here. Maybe not a lot, but a few deer that do come in here. And deer tend to carry a tick that's called a black tick, and those black ticks carry Lyme disease. And if they brush through shrubs, and more specifically barberries, they tend to scrape them off because of its thorns. And so because of that, the ticks will drop off and harbor into these shrubs. So because of that, I don't want to deal with that situation, and so that is why I'm removing them. The other reason I'm removing them is because I have no idea if these are dwarf barberries or if they are your normal typical barberries. If they are the typical barberries, they're going to get like enormous. They're going to be a big shrub, probably about 8 feet tall and probably 6 feet wide, if not larger. And so because of that, I want to remove at least 2 of them. And that would be the one in the center and then one over in the side right behind me. So that's what I'm going to do today. I have some gloves. Hopefully I don't get thorned to death. I kind of checked them out to see if they were sturdy enough, and so far so good. However, I am wearing a not a tank top, but a t-shirt, so hopefully I don't get scratched to death. But what I want to do with these is I want to transplant them over along the fence line over here, which we've already dug up the holes for that. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you all the way around this garden bed, and I'm going to mention all the plants and just kind of give you a garden tour, as well as doing what I need to do. And then I'm going to circle around again silently just so that you can see what it looks like before I get started. And so then I'm going to go ahead and start by removing the barberries and then planting some Echinacea. I want to plant, let me show you what I'm going to be planting, if I can get them in the picture. So this spring, I went and thinned out my Cocosimo Lucifer, and I kind of spread them out throughout the whole areas of all my different garden beds, but I also gave a lot away. And so I still have just a little bit left. And so I'm going to try to incorporate that into this garden somehow because they do require full sun. Then I'm going to be doing some St. John's wort. This is a different variety than I had in my Portland home, so if you haven't seen any of my garden tours in Portland, please go back and look at those because there's some amazing plants in that yard. And I am trying to replicate some of them, but because we do have deer, I do have to be also selective. I don't see a lot of deer munching on a lot of plants here, and I certainly don't see any that are going into my shade garden, but we'd still nevertheless get deer, and I do see nibbles here and there because of them. But this St. John's wort is a medicinal plant. It grows these beautiful red berries. I think there's one on here. I don't know if you can see that little red berry there, but this grows yellow flowers and then they form into this little red berry. So it has a lot of winter interest because of that. And you can use this plant for medicinal purposes because it's an herb. I won't go into that because that would require a whole different video for that, but this is absolutely gorgeous. Now this one here is going to get, I believe, 3 feet by 3 feet tall and wide. Let me see. Yeah, it gets about 3 feet to 3 feet tall and wide. It's zoned from 5 to 9, so it's pretty hardy. It goes down to at least a minus 20 degrees. Now, this does take full sun, and it actually takes full sun to part sun. And so this area here does get a ton of afternoon sun. So I think it'll do just fine. Then what I want to replace one of the barberries with is my pinnacle hydrangea. Now I don't know the variety of this because I was actually given the starts for this, the cuttings rather, and so I'm not 100% sure of the variety, but I do know that this gets about 6 feet tall, maybe even up to 7 feet tall to 4 feet wide. Now because the deer do like munching on hydrangeas, I'm hoping that if I tuck it where this barberry is in the center, in between both of the bee balm, because the bee balm are going to get fairly tall, that this will protect it somewhat from the deer. And then I'm also going to be planting some echinacea, and I'll talk about those when I get into the garden because they're actually in place. And I have one more. Give me 1 minute. Now this echinacea here, I had to pull it aside because it was kind of whimpering, and so I gave it some water and it's doing fine right now. But this is a hot papaya echinacea. This is going to get about 3 feet tall and wide, so it's going to have some height. So I may end up moving some of the ones that I have planted, just rearrange them in there. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. Now this one, as all echinaceas are pretty drought tolerant, they're all quite cold hardy. This one here is a long blooming, and it gets down to zone 4, so it's minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, so this is pretty hardy, and I'm really happy to be doing it because isn't that beautiful? Look at how beautiful that is. So hopefully it's focusing. But yeah, I'm excited to get some echinaceas in this garden bed as well. So let me take you around. Let me kind of give you a mini garden tour of all the plants that are in here and what it looks like now, and then I'm going to go ahead and move forward with removing the barberries. Okay, so I'm going to start with the barberry here, and then I'm going to circle all the way around naming plants. Keep in mind that I don't know a lot of the varieties of these plants because I didn't plant them, the previous owner planted them, but at least it'll give you an idea what it looks like before, and once I get started and finish, then I will go ahead and show you what it looks like afterwards. I mean, it looks stunning, you guys. I'm not going to lie. With the barberries, it just looks really stunning. Unfortunately, these barberries are going to grow very, very large, and I just really don't need another shrub. I may end up leaving this barberry, but they get pretty tall and wide. It depends on the variety, too. And I just don't know what variety these are, but I do know that they have grown twice as big than they were last year. So for that reason is why I'm thinking that it's best to move them. This right here is a heather, bloomed beautifully last winter. Absolutely gorgeous, love it. Right here is a daylily, don't know the variety or the color because I never got to see it bloom last year. These are gladiolas. I just moved them over from right in this area. They were kind of growing in between these plants. I mean, literally growing in between the plants. So I dug them out, placed them over here, and they're going to be a lot more visual. And I also put tomato rings to keep them more upright so they keeps them from flopping. Maybe next year I'll do my own cane trellis, but for now, tomato rings work pretty good. Then I have a Kraus dogwood. Didn't see that bloom this year. I'm not sure why it didn't bloom. Maybe it's just a later blooming dogwood. But it's beautiful. I love it. And then right here I have some penstemon. This is absolutely stunning. Something I would highly recommend. It has pink flowers and it is just gorgeous. It will get probably about another foot tall. Blooms all summer long. Absolutely gorgeous. Right here is a bee balm. Don't know the variety of this bee balm. It's got like lilac to lavender flowers, and then it has some pink flowers as well. And it's just beautiful. Then right below, I have some milkweed. And I don't know the exact variety of them, but they kind of reminded me of a bird of paradise. They're very similar to the same colors. And so this is just gorgeous. And I'm glad to see that they're multiplying because I would like to see more. I think last year there was only one. Right in front of it, it looks to me that that is foxglove. And this is going to get fairly tall. I don't recall having foxglove in here last year. Might have just seeded from another garden and transplanted itself here. But we'll see what it looks like. Over here, I have some Dane's Rocket. This one here is absolutely gorgeous. Blooms profusely all summer long. Highly recommend this one. Right over here, my husband got me some California poppies, and I try to plant them here. It does have some greenery, so maybe if I continue to give it some TLC, I may have some California poppies in here next year. Over here is called a Fahazen catnip. I'll put the name actually down because I'm probably butchering it. This one's a profuse bloomer. Absolutely love it. Comes out in the springtime, the blooms, and it just lasts all summer long into fall. So love, love, love that. I always call this lupins, but they're actually lupines. And this one really needs some TLC. I think all these plants could use a little bit of fertilizing. And it's coming to the end of its season. It'll get its second flush once I prune off and deadhead all these blooms. But this is absolutely gorgeous. The only thing about lupines that I don't like is that they seed out quite a bit. And so if you don't remove these seed pods right here immediately, then they will seed out and you will have tons of them. And they have a deep, deep root, even as babies. But they look beautiful at a distance. They look beautiful in a garden. They can even get a little bit taller than this, and so they can hide plants. So put them in the background if you grow them. That's my recommendations. Then the other barberry that I kind of trimmed it, but we'll see if I can move them because they are getting big. But if I'm going to move them, this is the time. Springtime's the time to move your plants because it'll take the transplant a lot better. And then this is another bee balm here. Same variety that one is over there. Has pink to light lavender, bluish flowers. And so that's a profuse bloomer. All these bee balms here are going to get probably another 2 feet tall. Then I have some red hot poker. This one's gorgeous. Love it. I've always wanted to grow them in Portland, but just didn't have the sun requirements for it. And here I have some, and I'm really happy that I do. And then another heather over here. In the center over here, I have some Kissman. What is this? This is Kissman's Intense Orange. Echinacea. This one here is going to get, if this is the right tag for it, it's going to get about 16 inches in height and about 24 inches in width. Gets about minus 25 degrees. Love Echinacea for that reason. Great pollinator. Then over here I have a pink lemonade Kismet. That one probably will get just as tall. Let's just check it out. This one here will get about 14 inches in height and 12 inches in width. So it's not a very big one. So I may move these ones around. And then I'm going to be planting a new one, which is a raspberry truffle. This one needs a little TLC, but it's going to be gorgeous. And this one here will get, I think, the tallest. This one's going to get up to 30 inches tall and about 24 inches wide. It's zone 20 to minus 20 and minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit. It's drought tolerant, long blooming, which is pretty true to a lot of the Echinacea. That's what I love about them. Plus, they have a lot of medicinal properties to them. So my goal is to have a lot of Echinacea in this garden and fill this up. Now, I don't know the variety of these tree lilies here. The deer did try to top them off, so we'll see what happens with that one. And these little baby ones that I transplanted and kind of encased in here. But they're growing, and we'll see what happens. Another barberry, which I will be moving. These ones, all these barberries, they bloomed old yellow flowers in the early part of spring. They were really kind of pretty. I've got some more gladiolas here. Don't know the variety of them. I've got some sedums here. Don't know the variety of them. These ones do flop, so I do need to encase them, and they will get probably another. This one will get another foot tall. This will probably get another foot tall as well with the flowers, and maybe even 2 feet tall because they're pretty large and they expand quite a ways. So I do need to find some type of trellis to encase them. One of them broke off, so I went ahead and stuck it in the ground. It looks like it's gonna survive, so I'm gonna have another little bunch right here. I don't know the name of this one. I'll put it on the side here for you, but this one here I was gonna take down because it just seemed pretty wild last year. But then I decided, no, I'm just gonna turn it into a lollipop. And so this is what the flowers look like. It's very beautiful. And I don't know if it's fragrant or not. Let me smell it. Nope, not fragrant. But it's got a lot of blooms on it. Still need to nip some of these stragglers, which I'll do. Over in this direction, I have a Hebe. Don't know the variety of it. Don't know the color of it because it wasn't in bloom last year when we moved on to the property. But it is getting its buds. So we'll find out. It looks almost maybe pink in color. We'll find out. Love Hebes. Would highly recommend them as well. They're pretty hardy. I have a dwarf euphorbia. Don't know the variety of this, but I need to move either this or I need to move both of these plants because right here I have a purple mist Baptisia, and this is already coming into bloom. But I can probably still move it because I've moved other plants before when they were in bloom and they did fine. Beautiful plant, just encroaching too much in this euphorbia. Then I have another heather here. I brought from my Portland home hens and chickens, so kind of placed them over here. Then this is a scarlet bee balm. This one I do know the variety because I've grown scarlet bee balm, so I'm very familiar with it. And this one's going to get probably another foot taller, if not 2 feet taller. Profuse bloomer. Absolutely, absolutely love this one. Highly recommend scarlet bee balm. Then right here I have another red hot poker. Absolutely love it. Over here I have a new plant that I'm going to be planting. This is in the fern family. This one is going to get about, and I don't know if this is going to focus you guys, but it's going to get about 18 inches tall. And this one is going to be blooming. It says it's going to be blooming in summer, but I see that there's already buds on it. And this one will get about 18 inches tall. It doesn't say how wide, but it does want you to water it about 2 to 3 times per week until it's established. And feed lightly with balanced fertilizer. And it thrives in full sun, making it a great accent plant. Best grown in a sunny location, but can tolerate up to half a day of shade. So yeah, great addition to a garden. And I love ferns, and I really want a kind of a fern in here. Ferns really like more shade than anything, so good to see that I can grow something very similar in this garden. Right here is a daylily. Don't know the variety of it. It wasn't in bloom when I got here, and daylilies will grow all summer long, so I was really kind of surprised I didn't see this one bloom. Then I've got a lot of marigolds here. Kind of cleaned them up, kind of toned them down a little bit because they were kind of growing in between plants, so I kind of removed all those little seedlings out and kind of kept these. And this is just absolutely stunning. Blooms all summer long. Can't say enough about marigolds. They're a lot more work than I want in a plant, but they're still stunning. They reseed every year, and so you can't go wrong with growing them because you will always have marigolds once you plant them. And then now we're back to the barberry. And again, I think I may just go ahead and leave that one. Okay, so now that you got to see what the gardens look like, I'm just gonna be wearing these gloves because hopefully these are strong enough for the thorns there. I'm gonna be working with my Roby post digger or hole digger, and then just a couple of shovels. One's a pull shovel that I work with all the time. You guys probably have seen that. I've got my wheelbarrow to kind of transfer these over, and then just a normal shovel. I think that should work for what I'm going to be doing. So with that being said, if you guys want to see more of this, please give me a big thumbs up and follow along. Okay, you guys, I'll see you guys at the end. This is where this one's going to go. The other one's going to go right over on that other side of the fence. This one I'm going to haul back with me and put it in a container. I think I'm going to have to get a pick. But while I'm waiting for the pick to dig this, I'm going to go ahead and pull out the other one before it gets much later. So this one's going to be a little bit tougher because it's in between plants. I enlisted my husband to dig that hole because I kept running into something really difficult. I think he has more strength than I do to dig that hole for me. Plus it's getting late. So I may not finish this tonight. I may have to bring you back in the morning. But for now, let's try digging this one out. But first, I'm going to tie it up. Hey babe, one more favor. I need you to wear a glove to help me with this one to pull it out. I'll try. I might be able to get it. Oh, never mind. I got it. Oh my God. Yeah, that one didn't want to come out. Okay, I managed to do that. It did not want to come out. I kept hitting a root here. It could be a root from that plant or the dogwood. But whatever it is, I was able to get it out. So now I'm going to go plant it, or at least position it, and then start planting some of these plants. Otherwise, I'll see you in the morning. Okay, pick up some tools here. Okay, so I'm not gonna completely cover it. I'm gonna let it rest. I'm gonna get a hose, get plenty of water for both of these. I think these are gonna look beautiful over here. I'm gonna go back and try to plant some stuff, and then probably come back in the morning and finish it up. But at least these are in place finally. Something I wanted to do for a long time. So let's go back over that way. Okay, you guys, I have the plants positioned more or less where I want them, but the neighborhood has gotten really crazy. They got a larger ATV and they are revving it tonight. So tomorrow's a school day, so hopefully it's a lot quieter and I can finish this up. So it's getting late anyway, so let them have fun. Okay, you guys, I'll see you guys in the morning. Okay, you guys, it is really nice and quiet today. Unlike yesterday. Yesterday was insanely crazy loud. I think they brought the biggest ATV that there is in the market because it was very loud. But they were having fun, and it was Labor Day, so kudos for them. But today what I'm going to do is finish this off. I did get one crazy thought last night. As I was walking around the gardens after I turned off the camera, I decided that I think I'm going to move the barberry that I have left over in this corner, and there's enough room for me to move it a little bit forward. It's not the kind of work that I really wanted to do, but I think at the end of the day, I'm going to be really happy that I did that. So I'm going to do that, give it some good soil, good amendments, and call it a day on that one. And I also positioned all the plants as you saw me do, and I mentioned last night that I was going to do. And I will be moving those around. But the first thing that I want to tackle is this purple mist Baptisia over here, because that's going to get really big, and it's really planted like directly right next to the Forbia. So I need to move that. and that's going to be the first thing of attack. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because it's going to be 78 degrees today, and I'm already feeling it in the morning sun on my shoulders. So got to get busy. No time to waste. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all this spent flowers. They're pretty much done. You got to see them and you know what they look like. So I'm going to go ahead and nip those off and then start digging it out. Yeah, I think I'm going to move the Baptisia because it looks like if I bring you really close, you'll be able to see that this is growing. However, this may have a lot of roots that are interfering with these roots, but yeah, I'm going to try to move that one instead. Well, I managed to sever it, but it's got a lot of roots on it. As you can see, there's a lot of new growth over here. It does kind of grow in a clump, but nevertheless, not a good placement right over there. Okay, you guys, I'm completely done. And I have to say that I really love it. However, when I was looking at the garden before I got started, all of the barberries brought in some bright color in there. So having them gone kind of eliminates a little bit of color. But I think over time, this is going to be absolutely gorgeous. And so I don't regret moving them. Now, I mentioned earlier that I did some research and that they possibly a Cordoni, I'll put the name down, but it's a Japanese barbarian. If it is a true Japanese barbarian, they grow as a clump, they don't spread out through rhizome as others can, and they only get about 2 feet max. These ones are more like 3 feet, but regardless of the situation, I'm really kind of glad that I moved them because they look pretty stunning coming into the driveway, and I'll show you what those look like. I still need to add soil to them, but I'm giving them plenty of water, so they're gonna do just fine. I also moved the barberry that's in that other corner over there. I actually moved it probably about a foot out. Excuse me, about a foot out, and I filmed it, or I thought I was filming it, and I didn't turn on the camera, so I lost that footage, but it doesn't matter. You'll be able to see the difference. And I'm a lot happier having that one in the corner, and it adds for color, so I'm okay with it. The Baptisia purple mist, which is false indigo, that one behaves a lot like Lithodoria, where Lithodoria does not like to be moved, and neither does this false indigo. They have one really long, maybe even more than one, really tap root, which means it goes really deep into the ground. Very much like actually lupines. They also have one root that really digs down in the ground. Now, I have moved lupines in this yard and they have survived. And so I'm hoping that this one will survive as well. But they do behave like Lithodoria, where once they're established, they do not want to be moved. If you move it immediately to the same environment that they're in, meaning the same soil, the same composition that the soil is, then they may do okay, but you got to move them pretty darn quick. Now this one was fairly quick, but it's actually really whimpering, so I'm going to end this video by showing you what it looks like tomorrow. I'm not going to come back and talk or anything. I'm just going to show at the very end what it looks like. Because like a lot of plants, when you move them during the day, they go into shock and they whimper a lot. So hopefully this is that case, because I'd hate to lose it. But if I do, then I do. But I decided to move it over here. And then I moved, actually I kind of did the opposite. And I moved, let me turn around this way. And I actually moved the euphorbia over to this side, because I ended up doing the St. John's wort on the side that the euphorbia was in. So there was a lot of decision making as far as plant placement, because I'm the kind of person that once I place something, I want to place it as a permanent situation. I don't want to keep moving plants around because it adds a lot of stress to plants. So once I plant something, I want to make sure it's planted. Now, if you move around Echinacea, that's okay. If you move other things that are very shallow rooted, they're okay. But like the pinnacle hydrangea, I ended up splitting them in half. I don't know if you got to see that, but I ended up splitting them in half and planting the other one in the container and for a later part of the yard to see where I'm going to place it. But this one I think is going to be really nice tucked in there. Now, pinnacle hydrangeas, they really kind of like some shade protection. And so once the bee balm get really tall, I think that's going to provide some sun protection from the south side, because as you can see, we're right now in the afternoon, and you can see how much light gets in here. So yeah, and so let me take you and show you around what I did and where I placed everything. Okay, so as you saw me do, I tidied up this little lollipop tree that I'm making into a lollipop. I will actually bring you really close to see all the flowers, but it's gotten a lot more flowers since yesterday, and it's looking really pretty. And I really like, now that it's tidied up, a little bit better than what it was even last year. Last year was pretty wild. And I moved the euphorbia over to this side. Pretty much any rule, a dwarf euphorbia, they're very shallow rooted, so they're very easy to move. The larger ones are a little bit deeper rooted, and so they're kind of an iffy thing on moving them around. But this one definitely, I've moved around euphorbias before, and ads, they do fine. But you can see that the purple mist is really pouting. And then I did over here some Kudos Ambrosio, because I think this is just going to be really pretty. The Pinnacle Hydrangea is going to get about 4 feet wide and about 7 feet tall, maybe 6 feet tall. So it's going to have plenty of room right there to grow and just look really pretty. And now you can see a lot of the flowers. There is still a little room here for planting something if I want, but right now this is pretty nice. But all the echinaceas, I ended up planting them here according to height. So the hot papaya is going to get about 3 feet, so I figured that one would be really nice in the background. This one I think is going to get maybe about 24 inches in height. And then this one, and I could be mistaken, it could be 18 inches. And I'm not 100% of the variety of this. I had a tag on it, and then I thought it was something else, and I don't know what it is right now. Until it blooms, I won't know really what it is. And then this one here is going to get probably about 24 inches, so I thought I'd go ahead and plant that there. And this is just going to add a lot of color this summer, so I'm really happy about that. And then of course all of the gladiolas are going to add some color to them, and of course all of the Cediums are going to add a bunch of color here, and now they have plenty of room to expand. They do encroach a little bit on this Hebe, but it's okay. You know, I can trim the Hebe a little bit. So right here I did my hens and chickens and placed it a little bit better. The St. John's wort is going to get about 3 feet tall and wide, so I figured this was a really good placement for it. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful plant, so it's going to be really pretty there. The other thing I did, as I mentioned, I kind of gave it a little bit more width here on this garden bed. And then right here is where I picked up this barberry and I brought it further out this way. It was like basically right here and in between these two. And I just moved it, maybe a foot or two over this way. And now this looks so much nicer and I really like it. Then what I did is I did the Crocosima lucifer right over here, since I have the gladiolas in that same kind of wispy grass type structure. I thought it'd be a really good complement there. And then I cleaned this up a lot better. And right over here, because this Echinacea here, which is the pink lemonade, that one's only going to get probably about 12 inches tall. So I thought this was a good placement where it's not going to be too tall for any of these plants here. And then this is where I ended up planting the fern. And this one here is called a SunFern. So I think this is going to get really nice and beautiful right here. I'm excited to see what the flowers look like. And then I just kind of gave everybody a nice water. I did add a little bit of mulch here, kind of ran out of it. So I do need to add a lot more mulch here. But it's looking good. I love it. I hope that you guys like it too. But it looks really pretty and definitely a good space in between. When I first initially saw it, I was thinking, oh, you know, I took away some pretty awesome plants. But you know what? These are going to even be more incredible, especially if the indigo, false indigo, perks up. And again, I'll put that at the very end so that you can see what it looks like tomorrow. and hopefully it'll recover. But look at how gorgeous is that. It reminds me a lot of my white rose bush that I had in Portland. I really miss that rose bush too. But yeah, this is looking really pretty. Loves the sun, and it's just looks great. Let me take you over here at the driveway so you can see both of these barberries, because they do look pretty amazing. And Brad took off and got me some soil, and he came home and he says they look pretty nice. So there you have it, you guys. And I measured these barberries, and they are actually closer to 3 feet. But we'll see how large these get. But they look really stunning here. Now I still need to add soil to them, but they're doing good. They're not whimpering. And this one as well. Still need to add more soil, but it's not whimpering. So it's going to take this transplant quite nicely. And then you come up to the driveway and you can see this barberry. And I think this barberry looks really stunning right here. So I'll be pretty happy with this one sticking around. But yeah, there's my garden, my new garden. Okay, so I said that I wasn't going to speak when I showed you what it looks like the next day. This is, again, purple mist, Baptisia, also known as false indigo. And these, according to, oh, there's a spider. According to everything that I know about these false indigos, is that they do not like to be moved, as I mentioned earlier. They are very finicky. So for this to actually come this much alive shows a lot of promise. However, the battle isn't beat yet. I still need to really make sure that this is going to get some lot of water, a lot of TLC, and just really baby this for the next, I don't know, 2-3 weeks. Now, these are zoned from 3 to 9. And they are pretty cold hardy, and they do love full sun. But again, I should have really, to be honest with you, I should have left it there because it was doing just fine. I should have just moved the euphorbia in front of me, because that would have been just perfect. And I wouldn't have had to deal with this. But I really like the placement here, and so I'm happy that I did it. I just hope that this continues to do well. Now, this part here is suffering somewhat, but there is still some life on this one. This one could pop back up, but I think it's, especially this one here, is pretty gone. And maybe this one is pretty wilted on the flower, but that's okay. This part here is what I was really worried about. So if part of it dies off, I've got new growth coming in, and so I believe this is going to do just fine. But I have pulled up the blue lupines, and the blue lupines are very similar to this plant here, where it's got a taproot that is really long. If you haven't seen my video of renovating my garden bed that got dug up, go check that out, because I actually show how big that taproot is on blue lupines. and I've been managing to relocate them and do just perfectly fine. Now, I don't know if it has anything to do with putting fish fertilizer to establish my plants or not, but that has been my go-to fertilizer, and it has shown promise on getting any of my plants established over and over and over the last 40 years of planting and doing any type of gardening. So yeah, and what I like about fish fertilizer too is that it's good for your garden, your vegetable gardens too. So anyway, I wanted to show you this because this really excites me, and I really hope that this thrives. The flowers to me are an abundance, but they're not really like super showy as far as what I saw last year, but we'll see what this looks like. And again, if it doesn't pan out, I don't like it, I will pull it out, put something else here that will look just as beautiful. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you guys on the next one.